So I went by line 2. Here is line 2 and line 6. The station called Pidujan, I think Pidu station. And walking to the place where you can apply for the driving license. If you have plans to drive in China long term and you want to get permanent driving license, that's the only place where you can go to. And if you watched my previous video about railways, you probably know it's my favorite means of transport in Sichuan, in China. But trains can't take you anywhere you want. Sometimes you need something else. And it's not necessary to drive in China. I think if you live in a big city, the communication, all the transport is pretty developed. It's pretty convenient. You don't need a car. But if you want to travel out of the city and go to some remote, less known places, car is really helpful. So I already arrived to the place where one can apply for the driving license. First of all, it's your identity materials like your passport, your visa, and I think the household registration, the thing that you get from police station. If you live in an apartment, you must do it by yourself. And without this thing, you cannot apply for driving license. Second, you need to do the health check that you are basically able to drive. It's very simple. I think a lot of clinics can do this check, and just like checking your vision and check that you have 5 fingers on your hand. You're literally taking photo with your hand like this. There is an app actually that called 12123 that I think it's only in Chinese, and it has all the services, like you can book, like make an appointment for your test here and stuff like that. I didn't use it, to be honest. I just came here and I talked to the people, they helped me to do everything. But what it can be useful for is this place. You see here, you can see which hospitals are offering the health check around you. If you have driving license already, you must translate it in a notary and bring the translation here. And also you need 2 1-inch photos with white background, like standard document photos. Oh yeah, one very special thing about materials when you are applying for the Chinese driving license is that on the system of traffic police, they can't give you Latin name, they cannot use English names. Even though your passport has English name and on all other systems they write it in English, on the driving license they will have Chinese name. So you'd better think about it ahead, in advance, and when you will go to translate your driving license and passport in the notary translation office, you should tell them what is your Chinese name, and they will write that, and this information will go into your driving license. It confuses a lot of people. It's also a bit confusing for me, but that's how it works. I think all over China, in all the provinces, it is the same. Driving license can only have Chinese names, and it's up to you what it's gonna be. These are the materials that you have to prepare to apply for permanent driving license. But there is also a temporary driving license. It does not require all of that documents. As long as you have driving license from your home country, you can apply for the temporary ones, but it will be issued on a term of your visa. If your visa is like 3 months, you cannot get longer than 3 months. And I think the longest is like 1 year. There is no driving exam if you already have driving license, just a theory one, and it consists of mostly of the questions about the laws in China, how to do in this and that kind of situations. Pretty standard, I think. And also there is a slight gap because of the translation. Like if your Chinese is not very good, probably should apply to do the test in English, and I think the translation is good. You can really understand what's going on, but not always. It's better to review questions, and that's the main way how you prepare for this exam. Like instead of reading the books with the law, usually people just do the tests. There are many apps on WeChat, for example, like mini programs, one called like Laowai Driving. There is another one like driving license, something. There are many of them. They're all pretty similar. They're just a simulator. They're just simulating the test, and you just go through sections, and there are 100 questions, and to pass the exam you need to answer correctly at least 90, and I think you have 2 attempts. I did from the first attempt. It was not difficult. I think I got 96 very proud of it. If you do not have your driving license and you move to China already, you're going to stay here for a while and you want to get one, the process is pretty similar to what the locals have to do. You need to enroll into the driving school and basically just follow the curriculum, learn how to drive with instructor, and then the school will help you to, prepare the materials and apply to do the test. But you have two tests. One is a driving test with the inspector, and second is the theory test. When I moved to China, I already had driving lessons from my home country, so I did not officially enroll into the driving school. But the problem is that since I got the driving lessons, I'd never really driven, and I felt very unconfident. I didn't want to go on the road without any practice, especially here in China. The traffic is quite wild. Sometimes I was very nervous, so I decided to hire an instructor. I went to one of the schools that I found, and I think I paid around 2,000 RMB to just practice. And the way it worked in that school, you start practicing with instructor, and you can schedule the lessons with instructor as long as you want, as long as you feel you still need some practice. It took me like 6 or 7 lessons before I felt super confident on the road, and I didn't feel any need to come again. And also, I think it was cheaper, if you're not going for exams, it was cheaper to practice with instructor than if you need to go for exam. And so how it went for me, in the morning I came here with all the materials prepared, I applied, and they told me that probably they will call me after lunch, which they did, around 2, and they told me that I can go to do the test. I went to do the test, and I passed for the first time, and like 15 minutes later I already got my driving license, which I'm still carrying with me. They even gave me the book for free. Here's my driving license. Don't look at my photo, it's terrible. But I got C1, which is driving the car, and also E category, which allows me to ride a motorcycle. Here is a main waiting hall. So if you want to have some sort of service, you need to get a ticket with your number, and then you have to wait until your number appears on the screen, and then you go to the relay. And I also wanted to clarify the process of application a bit more with local workers, and I asked one of the person from service, because they have bilingual service here, I asked them to answer some of my questions, and I'll do it just now. When one go to the exam, if they pass, they can get the driving license the same day. Right? I heard that you can pass, like if first time you fail,
you can retake
one more time,
One more time.
And if failed again, then what?
You failed again, you can also pay the test fee again.
Same day?
Some day is okay.
How many times one can do this?
This is not the...
No limitation? And if you pay fee one more time, you have 2 attempts or 1 attempt?
One fee for 2 times.
I see. Okay. I hope at this point the application process became very clear. There is one more important thing that we should talk about. After you got the driving license, you should know how to deal with traffic accidents. And for that, let's go back to my studio. How to deal with a traffic accident when driving in China. It is recommended to take photos first of what happened, and second, call 110, which is police. Contact them, and also, if you can, call the insurance company. If they are injured, you must call 120, which is ambulance. And talking from my experience, if there was a serious accident, the cars are damaged heavily, you can't move them. They should stay on the road until the traffic officer arrives and he will investigate the scene first. If it was a scratch, I think after taking photos you'd better go to the side of the road, because obviously at least 2 cars, they will block the road, they will create a traffic jam, and police might even say that it was wrong. Also, if you really had like really mild scratch, like there is nothing serious happened, like just a small bump or something like that, some people they will handle this by themselves just by calling the garage to find out what is an approximate price for fixing the issue, because often it is clear whose fault it was. For example, in China, if the car at the rear bumped the car in front, it's always the fault of the person at the back. If you could not brake on time, it's always your fault. There are some other situations when it's always the fault of someone who did not do something. For example, when you change the lane, when you cross the line and the traffic accident happened, it's always the fault of someone who was changing the lane. And if the damage was very small, maybe you can solve it other place. So what you should keep in mind, what you should think of if the accident happened. First, of course, language is important. Try to communicate as good as you can. And I think in the stage of legal processes and communication with public security organs, there will be interpretation services provided for foreigners who's incapable of speaking Chinese. Or I think you have an option, you have a right to hire your own translator if you need to. And also, according to the local law, please note this, people who were involved in following kind of road traffic accidents are not allowed to leave China. First, if the traffic accident involves a crime. And the second, if there are still unresolved claims related to the road traffic accidents, the person who involved in this accident are not allowed to leave China by the law, by the court. So you have to resolve it as soon as you can. Oof, I'm sure it was a lot of information. I hope it not overwhelmed you. I think if you live in a big city such as Chengdu, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Shenzhen, you don't really need a car because public transport is very developed and it's often more convenient to take public transport or call a taxi than drive your own car, because driving is one thing but parking is another thing, which is quite stressful sometimes, especially if you go to downtown or it's a rush hour. It's not clear what are benefits of the car unless you have a lot of heavy stuff or just like to enjoy your own music all the time. When it comes to traveling out of the city, yeah, car is the king, especially in Chengdu, because you can go to West Sichuan, you go to the mountains. There are a lot of places that are not easily accessed by other means of transport, like some small hotels with hot springs. It's really local way to chill, and car will help a lot. But if you don't do this very often, you can well rent a car or find a place which is not that far from high-speed railways. By the way, I did a video about high-speed railways in China. And driving, yeah, you need to drive. On the train, you don't need to do anything. Just go on the train, chill, I don't know, do some work, watch a movie. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, or maybe you have your own suggestions and share your own experience. That will be really helpful for people who watch this video. It was Alex Tchaikovsky. Thank you for your attention. Until next time, goodbye.